Look, what is this? KFC in a box? Nope. This is Nikon's latest ZFC mirrorless camera. Let me do a super quick unboxing for you. Ta-da! There you go. What? Too quick? Alright. I'll show you what's inside the box one by one. At the time of recording, the options available in Malaysia are the body only, the kit with 16-50mm silver DX lens, or the kit with 28mm f2.8 classic lens, which is the one I'm having here. Inside this 28mm kit box, you'll find the online warranty registration card from Futuromic Photo AV, user manual in English, Malay and Chinese. In this kit, you will get the Nikon Z 28mm f2.8 special edition lens. This is a full frame lens. I think the design is quite lang zai. It looks like the Nikon's old AI or AIS lenses, which matches the vintage look of the ZFC better. This lens is also very compact and I like how light it is, with just 160 grams. As for battery, you will get the new EN-EL25 battery, which is the same battery as the Z50. The model of the included charger is MH32. It comes with 2-pin plug attached. You will also get a camera strap with just the word Nikon Z on it. The weaving pattern is quite nice too. Last but not least, the G-Gok, the Nikon ZFC camera body. Thanks to YL camera, I get to play with the ZFC for a short while. So, is it as fingers licking good as KFC? Let me share my quickie experience with you. Ooh, dials and buttons. Lots of it. It's almost pornographic. The ZFC is like a fusion between modern mirrorless cameras like the Z50 and their vintage cameras FM or FE series. Don't you think their offspring is pretty handsome? Maybe that's what the FC means. Fusion and classic. It is as if Nikon released the ZFC as a reminder of their heritage in making good-looking and very capable cameras. I'm sure many of you who are watching this video would agree that the retro design of this ZFC is the biggest talking point of the camera. Was Nikon thinking, 唔打得都要睇得? Since the ZFC was based on the Z50 camera, which has many good reviews, and also based on my experience after using the ZFC for a while, I can say that the ZFC is both 打得又睇得. It has both the look and quality. Following the theme of retro or vintage camera design, Nikon has placed most important controls on physical dials, buttons, and switches. The dials are made from aluminum and they feel very nice to touch. They have very good tactile feedback when you rotate them. On the left, there is the ISO dial. It has full ISO range from ISO 100 all the way up to 51,200 and even H1 and H2 with 1/3 stop increment per click. I wish they add one more position for auto ISO setting. Underneath the ISO dial, you have the Auto PSAM mode selector switch. You can change the shutter speed from 4 seconds to 1/4000 seconds using the shutter speed dial on the right of the viewfinder housing at 1 stop increment per click. The jump is too large for my liking, but you can always set to the 1/3 stop position for final adjustment using the main command dial like you always do with other cameras. You can quickly switch between photo and video mode using the selector switch under the shutter speed dial. The dial on the far right is the exposure compensation dial. You can dial in exposure compensation from -3 EV to +3 EV at 1/3 stop increment. The shutter button is raised higher on the on-off switch, and the video record button next to it with a red dot. There is a tiny LCD between the dials which only shows the aperture f number and nothing else. It is rather small and not backlit. The hard rubber round shaped eye cup mimics the look of the FM2 eye cup, but the viewfinder is actually rectangular. It is the same 2.36 million dot OLED viewfinder as the Z50. I think the resolution is good enough. However, I think the size is slightly smaller than the Z6 viewfinder that I'm used to. Now, let's flip over to the LCD screen. It is a 3-inch 1.04 million dot fully articulating screen. At 3-inch, it is slightly smaller than the 3.2-inch tilting screen of the Z50. This is the first Z series camera that have fully articulating screen. Everyone has different preference for tilting versus fully articulating display, but I think fully articulating display has some advantages in certain scenarios like when taking self-portraits, vlogging, or allow us to get different angles and perspective without awkward body positions. Furthermore, with the screen flipped sideways instead of tilt down like the Z50, you can attach a tripod or a selfie stick without blocking the screen. With the flat body design, there is no integrated hand grip like the Z50. Naturally, the way to grip the camera will be different. Thanks to the lightweight body, holding the camera is not uncomfortable. Maybe Nikon or other third-party manufacturers will come up with some form of grip attachment soon. However, when using larger and heavier lenses, the main support will be from the left hand. I find it a little clumsy when I need to move my left hand to the ISO dial to change settings while maintaining support. The ZFC only have 3 ports under the side rubber cover, one micro HDMI port, one USB-C port, and a 3.5mm mic input port. Haiya, why no headphones output ge? This can be an inconvenience to content creators. Well, at least we can still use the audio level meter on the display. I hope Nikon can do something to the firmware to allow the use of USB to audio adapter if we want to connect to headphones. Okay, the USB-C port. It is a USB 3.2 Gen 1 port which have a transfer rate of up to 5 gigabit per second. This means you can transfer photos to computer with a decent speed. You also can use the ZFC as a webcam using the USB-C port. This is a pretty useful feature in this social distancing era. Not only that, you can charge the battery in camera using the USB-C port too, with power delivery compatible power supply or power bank. This is a really handy feature when you are on the move or traveling. For wireless connectivity, the ZFC has Bluetooth and 802.11ac Wi-Fi that allows you to connect to the camera using SnapBridge app on your smart devices. When connected, you can view and download photos from the camera to your smart devices. Not only that, it allows you to do remote photography and video recording too. One new feature Nikon has added to the ZFC is remote firmware download and transfer using SnapBridge. This feature is not available in Z50 or even my Z6. With these wireless features, you can take well-composed selfie during your holiday, download, and quickly share them without having to use a computer. For storage, the ZFC only has one UHS 1 SD card slot. Considering the target user group, I bet nobody is going to complain about that. Let's talk about the image sensor. The ZFC shares the same 20.9 megapixel DX CMOS sensor as the Z50. Even though it is based on Nikon's entry-level mirrorless camera, the specs are really no slouch at all. For stills, it can burst up to 11 frames per second with full AF. This is just 1 frame per second shy of my Z6. For video, it can do oversampled 4K video up to 30 frames per second with no additional cropping. It also can do 120 frames per second at 1080p. Sadly, it doesn't have in-body image stabilization. When you are vlogging or doing some handheld video, maybe you need to rely on lenses with VR or using electronic VR function to get a more stable shot. This is me trying to vlog using the 28mm lens. I have to extend my arm fully in order to fit my head and my face. Okay, let's walk a little bit and see how stable it is without IBIS. Okay, I'm testing the electronic VR. With the electronic VR turned on, there will be a slight crop in. This is the 28mm lens, so not sure how effective it is. With electronic VR turned on and post-edit stabilization applied, the image becomes much smoother, but there will be further crop in to the field of view. I'm glad that Nikon is not stingy in implementing the same autofocus feature as the Z6 II or Z7 II to the ZFC. It has eye and face detect autofocus for people and also animal. In my short test, I feel the detection is maybe slightly better than my Z6. Is it a perfect system? In my opinion, nothing is perfect, but it does the job. The eye and face autofocus work in video mode too, while it is not available for Z50. Thanks to my wifey for being my model and willing to perform my silly request. Okay, now let's check out with my mask on. Can the camera recognize my face or eyes? Oh, can. Mask off. Mask on. Still can. even with my hat on. Nikon's picture control is something like a preset or color profile that can be applied to photos and videos. There is a section so-called Creative Picture Control that lets you experiment with some pretty interesting presets. Some of the presets can be quite nice in certain situations, but some are too funky for my taste. If you want, you can create your own custom picture control using Nikon View-NX or Capture-NX software and load them to the camera. At the time of recording, Adobe Camera Raw support for ZFC is not available yet, so the ZFC images you see here in this video are straight out of camera JPEGs. I did a quick ISO comparison from ISO 100 up to ISO 51200. I had the high ISO noise reduction turned off for this test. Here's the 100% crop version. I think the images are holding up pretty well up to ISO 6400. If you are desperate, you can push to ISO 12800 or even 25600 too. Maybe it will be passable for social media use. Since we are still under movement control order plus the limited time I have with the camera, I can't really go out much for photo walk. I would like to share some of the images I took nearby with the ZFC while I share my thought about the camera. These are all straight out of camera JPEGs. Looking at the ZFC for the first time and holding it in hand still gives me the excitement like little kids getting their new toys. The camera reignites my motivation to go out and take pictures for myself. Is it just because of the new old look? Or maybe it's just look different than my usual workhorse cameras. So I get the feeling of doing something for fun instead of for work. The lightweight body and lens combo means less burden physically and mentally. It just makes me more willingly to take the camera out for shoot. Yes, the dials and buttons are cool to look at and touch, but I think they are not there to let you shoot faster or more efficiently. Perhaps it's the other way around. They let you slow down to think and feel the tactile feedback when you are making pictures instead of just taking snapshot quickly. But if you are in a hurry, you still have the option of going back to the usual main and sub dials. The fully articulating screen is a joy to use too. Actually, I really don't mind the smaller sensor in the ZFC, if that means we can have smaller and lighter lenses to pair with it. I hope this is not another one-off release from Nikon like the DF. I hope there will be ZFC2 or anything they want to call it. What I like to see in the next iteration is the implementation of IBIS, headphones out, and more compact and affordable lenses. Since it has Z mount, at least we already have a wide range of Z mount and F mount lenses to choose from. If compared to Z50, I think the difference in design and feature improvement justify the price difference. Some features are even better than my Z6. So, is it as finger-slicking good as KFC? At the end of the day, if a camera sparks joy when you are using it, then it is a good camera for you. Thank you all for watching. I hope my sharing gives you good info about the ZFC. If you have any question or comments, please leave it down below. Finally, please spread my videos and love to others, and not virus or hatred. Stay safe everyone. Bye.